that was basically a very intentional signaling that Gridlife, Global Time Attack, and SCCA are all friends.
Welcome to this episode of Inside the SCCA. A little bit of different episode here. We had a previous episode with Heyward where we covered hill climb and road rally. Great episode there. This episode, we catch up with Heyward on a couple more of the SCCA programs, time trial, Targa, and RallyCross. And then in a little bit down the road, we will have a third episode with Heyward talking about track night and solo, two of the bigger programs in the SCCA. So first episode was great. Second episode also very cool. That's coming up right now. And of course, we'll have that third episode here in a week or two, definitely with Heyward. So stay with us. We'll get to the second part of this episode right now. This is Inside the SCCA. All right,
now I'm curious to see if you can get participation order right as to what's next.
I'm going to go time trial.
That's correct.
Yep, because I know there are some rabid RallyCross fans in this club. So, But yeah, let's go time trial because I think that's next up. Time trial is that weird hybrid thing where it's not quite road race. It's not quite autocross, but we do a track event at every one of our road racing events, which is as close to time trial as we get out here on a regular basis. Time trial program's grown a lot in the last 5 or 10 years, hasn't it?
It really has, yeah. And we had essentially a relaunch of the program in 2018, and could be its own show. But basically we took the rule book and we redacted everything out of the rule book that said should or recommended and just got down to what was actually required.
Right.
And then built backwards from there to get to something that really focused on kind of two tenets. The first was access, being able to do this in the car you already have.
Right.
And then the second one was kind of this, and I've never found the right exact way to say it, but it's something like finding a motorsports home for people who haven't found theirs yet. People who want more track time, more seat time than Autocross gives you. They want more in the car. They like track days, but they like for it to be competitive. To me, this is I've done 2 or 3 Autocrosses. I liked it, but it wasn't my thing. I've done a couple of track nights. I liked it, but I want a little bit more. And really what we tried to do as much as we could with it was take what we learned from track night, and really take what we learned from every SCCA program and kind of distill it down to something that provided the best possible experience that we could with the resources that we had.
Yeah.
And that's probably a really complicated way of saying that it doesn't feel like road racing. It doesn't feel like autocross, like solo. It's a more laid back approach to the event. And we might be changing all of that because we just announced that it's going to have a national championship in 26.
Nice.
But the approach is very much centered on a John Krolowitz concept, which was one team. And the idea that we kind of beta tested this with track night. But the idea that we all have a better experience when we all work together to make sure that we get clean laps, good laps. In road racing, particularly at the runoffs, you can't really tell a difference between the qualifying sessions and the races at times because everyone's physically pushing each other so hard through the qualifying sessions. In time trials, it's really intended to be a run at your own pace, focus first on your personal best for your achievement. And if you get a trophy at the end, great. But we have novice groups. You need to have 0 on-track experience to an SCCA time trial. You can come and be a novice and have your very first track experience in a time trials event. And I'm betting that you've got some pretty loaded time trials questions for me. So I'm just going to hit pause there for a second.
I've got two ways I want to go with time trial. The first one is, for anyone who's gets into autocross, it is a craft. It has to be practiced to get good at it. I go out a couple times a year, and I don't do it enough to get good at it. And it really takes, for some people, years to get to the pointy end of the rally of the solo. That's something that a lot of people don't want to invest in to have fun, especially if you think having fun is running up front. If you're okay with not running up front, you can have a lot of fun with autocross and not maybe put a ton of time in it. Whereas time trial, the way you describe it, sounds like the perfect place for someone to go have fun, still be competitive, but might not have to put in the amount of hours. And the problem is with autocross is you're only getting 10 minutes of attempt for every weekend. It's hard to get good at anything when you're doing 10 minutes of stuff maybe once a month. It feels to me like time trial fills that void. Am I on the right track?
I think at the risk of offending anybody by saying that any of this stuff is easy, because none of it is.
Correct.
I personally have been surprised at how much I've struggled to find pace on track. I thought I was a pretty competent autocrosser. Tracks look a lot easier than autocross courses to me, so I should be able to just plug in and run at the front of the field. And I've really had to work hard to get to a place that feels okay. Certainly not great in that regard. That said, I think that for those of us that have kids and demanding jobs and not a lot of weekends, I do think that to be a front-running serious autocrosser, it's very, there are the people who show up at nationals every year and compete for a championship, and that's the one or two events they run a year, and they blow my mind and I don't understand it. But I think for the vast majority of the autocross world, it's easily a 20 weekend a year and possibly a 40 weekend a year commitment to hone that craft, to come to solo nationals fully ready. There are people that are putting in significant amounts of time, and time trials in general just doesn't lend itself to that, whether it's there aren't as many events available, the cost of entry fees, the cost of consumables is a little bit higher, and then I think the other part of it is that we have not had a championship event until 26. And so I think the access of autocross is so high. Yeah. And the relative lack of consequence for mistakes means that learning autocross at 11 tenths and figuring out how to get down to 10 is totally doable. Like that's a totally viable strategy to get good at autocross. Track events, time trials, you don't want to be at 11. You don't really want to be at 10.1. 9.9 is a really great place to be. And so I think that there's also an element of I've never gone out on an autocross run and felt happy with putting in a 9.9 effort. If it's not 10 or 10.1, then it wasn't good enough. And I find myself oftentimes in time trials getting into a rhythm and just really enjoying being on track. Right. And there's kind of there is a lulled to comfort by the presence of danger element to it that is that kind of plays into that whole approachability of it.
Yeah. All of our programs, but time trial in particular, we get this now because we have competition. And I'm not talking about competition amongst ourselves. I'm talking about competition with other organizations. Other people, and I hear people complain about the SCCA, I'm going to go play somewhere else. And that's fine, But how much does the experiential side of what we do, is it now you're keeping an eye on the competition. You're going to learn from the competition. You're molding our programs to be maybe get the best parts of what maybe other people do to enhance what we do. I feel like that's something that maybe for a while we chose not to do because we were the SCCA, and we're the SCCA. We were here the longest. We were the first. We were here the longest. And we kind of, buried our heads in the sand and closed off the vault door. And nor shall we look out, nor shall we look inside. I don't think we could do that anymore. And I feel like our programs outside of road racing, and I'm not here to piss off road racing, but I feel like our programs outside of road racing are doing a pretty good job keeping an eye on the rest of the motorsports landscape. Am I right? Let's just talk about your programs. I feel like you're doing a pretty good job of looking outside of the SCCA world to maybe dabble in some ideas that maybe come from somewhere else.
So I think there's a couple of truths in all of that. One is that when we are looking at strategic direction on RSE side, one of the three tenets that we focus on is the concept of selling what the market is buying. And sometimes that means that the K24, K20, K24 swaps right now are incredibly hot. And we need to make sure that we have a time trials class for stock K24 engines. They're swapped into fun cars that's approachable, that's easy to do, because that's the easy way to get 240 horsepower out of a car. And how do we go and do that? Sometimes it means that we're looking at other sanctioning bodies and what their rules are writing, what rules they're writing, and how do we have crossover between those things? And how do we stay relevant? How do we stay attractive? How do we be a place that people who can bring the car they already have to come do what we do? Beyond that kind of strategic side of it, we also work really hard to have really good relationships with the other people in the space. We formed the North American Time Attack Council, I think probably in 20 or 21. That was basically a very intentional signaling that Gridlife, Global Time Attack, and SCCA are all friends. Mm-hmm. And we've worked a lot with the other, we've done a lot of shared dates with Global. We work really hard with Gridlife to make sure that we're not sitting on top of each other's dates. But it also means that we have conversations like, hey, we're thinking we're going to change our Time Trials National Tour to Time Attack Challenge. Hey guys, does that upset anybody? Are we stepping on anybody's toes? Is that okay? Is that not okay?
Right.
And I think from that, when the organizers are getting along and talking to each other, then the competitors are more comfortable crossing over and doing other things. And oftentimes, those things that you're probably seeing as we're looking over the fence going, oh, how are they doing that? Can we do it that way? A lot of times that's just the competitors coming from one to the other and saying, hey, we ran grid at this event this way and it worked really well. Do you want to do it that way? And those sorts of things. So, I think at the end of the day, I don't really think that anybody who is putting on motorsports events is our actual competitor. I think our actual competitors are other activities, whether they're virtual or analog. Our competitors are people, and I say this as a multi-time breeder, having children and going to soccer games. That's a bigger competitor to us than I think that, or a bigger threat to us than I think any other sanctioning body is.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect segue to talk about Targa.
Yes. Let me just take 1 second and thank people that helped me do the show. Of course, David R. Paterick and Associates, or William R. Paterick and Associates, David Paterick, one of our GT1 and now Spec MX5 drivers. If you need help managing your money, which I know anybody who races cars probably would love to have more money. So he's really smart with that stuff and a great guy and a supporter of the show. So thanks to him, of course. We've got Ray Esports, the unofficial sim racing league of the SCCA, but the official sim racing league of Inside the SCCA. We'd love to have him involved with what we do here. Solo Performance Specialties, Dave and his family, who are at most of the Solo Nationals, and of course Solo Nats. If you need anything for your solo car and autocross, and maybe even he's got some stuff that would work on the road racing side. I just bought a great pair of shoes from him, so I got Fat Feet, any place that sell fat foot driving shoes. Thank you, Solar Performance Specialties, for that as well. Babyface Fabrication, they are involved with our tech tip. We didn't do a tech tip during this show. Let me think if there's anything that we talked about that could be a tech tip, and I'll just make it happen. But yeah, Babyface Fabrication, they're a sponsor of our tech tips. Love having them as part of what we do here as well. and I don't think. Porterfield Racing Brakes. They have been a longtime supporter of the Cal Club events as well as here on Inside the SCCA. A big thank you to them. So those are the folks that helped me do this, and I like to thank them as often and as loudly as possible. Yes, I think that's probably the logical place to put it as well.
Love it. So Targa is motorsports for soccer parents. That's the best way to think of it.
Explain.
Well, so it's kind of a part of a bigger awareness that we're having in the national office, and that is that when we do things for more than 2 days, more people show up. When we do things for 2 days, we usually get people from a largely 250 mile and smaller radius.
Right.
When we go out to 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, we start getting people from 500, 600, 7 mile radius.
Interesting.
We're experimenting with something bonkers this year in Bristol. We've been doing summer nationals at Bristol. It's not a phenomenal lot. I don't know what you know about Bristol, Tennessee over the 4th of July weekend, but it's not the weather that anybody dreams of.
That's what I was going to say.
But we sell that thing out every year because we give people a pro and a tour, 4 days. It's enough time that it makes sense to come and set up your paddock space and hang out and bring your grill. And it's not show up on Friday, race on Saturday, get up on Sunday, race on Sunday, break down, leave. You actually feel like you get to be there for a while.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to do a shootout event the weekend before, which means we're going to be offering people the opportunity to come to Bristol, Tennessee for a 2-day autocross, 2 down days, 2 days of pro, 2 days of tour. And generally speaking, when we've done this, we've seen a really high level of success. Heyward, what are you talking about? What does this have to do with Targa?
I know what has to do with
Targa's intention. Targa's intention is that when we go to a really great racetrack like Eagles Canyon or Carolina Motorsports Park or Pocono or Audubon, and we're getting the time trials constituents of 150 to 200 mile radius, we're struggling to fill that weekend up. We're having a hard time getting enough people to come and do that thing to make it feel really full. And we've added some track day elements, and that's been really great. But what we really want is we want people that are in that 400, 500, 600 mile range. We want to offer them something that's a few more days and a little more tingly, if you will. And I'm going to drop some not yet released information here.
Bring it.
But we're working on getting that right now. So this year, our 4 home tracks for Targa events will be Carolina Motorsports Park, Eagles Canyon, Audubon, and Pocono. And each of these events will give members the opportunity to come in on Wednesday morning to a track adjacent to that track. So if you need to go drop your trailer or drop your stuff, you can do that. And then Wednesday afternoon, evening on track 1, Thursday on track 2, Friday on track 3, and then back to the home track for the weekend. And there's some nuance to it, right? Like the Targa competition on Saturday ends around noon. So if you need to get on the road and head home, you can. We hope that you'll stick around for the time of track event. That's really what we really like for you to do. But again, could be its own show.
Yeah.
But these events are really, really fun, and they are very, very time and money cost effective.
Yeah.
You get 5 track days on 4 different tracks. We're trying really hard to put at least one big time bucket list track on each one. I don't know what's inked and done at this point in time, but I think we're at Pocono. I think we're going to get to Lime Rock during that one. Audubon, I don't know that we're going to get to traditional bucket list, but I think we're going to get to Groton, which is a hard track to get on. There's not a lot of opportunity to get there, and it's a really cool racetrack.
Don't discount Blackhawk.
I think we're going to be at Blackhawk, and the part that I'm most excited about is that if you're at Blackhawk on Wednesday and you got to run at Groton on Thursday, you can drive through Chicago and Gary, Indiana, and on up that way, or you can go to Milwaukee and put your car on a boat and ferry across Lake Michigan and stand up on the top deck and watch the lights go by. And
Let someone else drive.
Exactly. So
That's cool.
I'm not at liberty to discuss the Texas tracks, but one of them is a very hard to get on track that is absolutely should be on everyone's bucket list, and it's not COTA. It's not
Wow.
even in the state of Texas.
Oh, I know
But
what it is.
it is a well kept secret. And it is. I got to drive it a couple years ago on one lap, and it's magical.
Okay.
But it's just it is a rolling uh, it is a rolling motorsports event, and I think again could be its own show. I think we've probably done a little bit of a disservice to Targa by saying that the whose line is anyway joke of the rules are made up and the points don't matter. There are some silly rules. There are some fun things to do for points. But everyone we had last year, the fastest team won.
Right.
And it's a pretty cool thing. So more news on that to come.
Okay, so I'm going to drop something here right now, unplanned right now. If any,
let's go.
Put in the chat where you think that Texas track is that Heyward just teased. Of all of the people that get it right, I will pick one of them, and they will get a care package of some stuff. And I have something I'm going to ask Heyward for. I'm not going to do it on the stream because I don't want to put him in a spot. But I have an idea for something that maybe Heyward could throw in. But definitely there'll be some cool stuff. So put it in the comments what you think that track is. I got a couple of ideas in my brain. I'm not going to say them. And if we get a couple people who get it, I'll pick one of those people, and they're going to get a care package. How's that?
Love it.
Cool. All right, let's move on. We got a couple more programs, and then I have one other thing you have no idea I'm going to ask you about. Completely.
All right, got 3 to go.
But
and you haven't even asked me where Time Attack National Championship is going to be in 26.
Oh, well, where is the Time Attack National Championship going to be? Because it was going to be at Pit Race until, and I could go on a whole rant about that. But anyway, it's not going to be at Pit Race. So where's it going to be?
So I think topic number 7 that we could do our own show on is Pit Race.
Okay. Yes.
And I will just say I don't want to get into the depth of it, but I do think it is the most devastating motorsports news of my life that did not involve a fatality. That track was so good and so healthy and so right and had so many things going in the right direction for it. And that region was so strong because of it. It's really, really heartbreaking. So
I agree.
With that caveat, as soon as I got the news, we immediately kind of called an emergency meeting because we knew that everybody who had a pit race date in 26 or thought they did would be scrambling for other dates. And I cannot give you definitive, this is what we're doing information yet. But again, your spidey sense, the spidey senses of your audience can probably figure these out. There is a track in Texas that I have already mentioned that is unique because it can run both directions, clockwise and counterclockwise. And the idea of being able to run time trials nationals where we traditionally do 2 segments, your first segment plus your second segment, the idea that we could run time trials nationals on 2 unique courses, full courses for those 2 segments is really intriguing.
Nice.
So that was our first phone call. And our second phone call was to the RE of a region just one state away from Pit Race about a track that may have hosted the runoffs in its history, and to see if maybe their October road racing date would be something they would be willing to entertain letting us take a gander at. And we don't know where that conversation is going to go right now. But the thing that we've kind of come to realize is as we've talked to region leaders around, hey, what do you think? What do you think? What we're hearing, when we did this reset of the program in 2018, we did not have core constituencies. We didn't have strong regions. We didn't have programs to lean into. And what we're starting to hear are these really proud, really strong regions that would really love to host Time Trials Nationals or Time Trials National or Time Attack National Championship. And so I think where this is all heading is get in the Wayback Machine. How did we do the runoffs for the first 30 years? Well, we had regions bid on it, and
Yeah.
the regions that won it got to have it. How do we do solo nationals for the first 20 years? Regions bid on it. The region that won it got to have it. And I don't know that we would do a full ownership transfer of the event to a region, but the idea that a region can say, hey, we've got a strong program, we've got a great track, why don't you bring it here? And then I think we get into this really cool kind of home game, away game dynamic of what's coming to my place this year. So I've got to show up and I'm going to go visit a new track. And what we're hearing in these conversations as we're kind of floating these ideas is that keeping solo nationals in the same place makes a lot of sense because the courses are different every year and it's a great facility, great everything. So yeah, let's keep going there. Keeping the runoffs the same place for at least a couple years in a row makes sense because people are just figuring out how to dial the car in for the track and all the relationships that the staff has to build with community and whatnot to make things work. And when you get to a track specific, particularly like Road America, which is dynamic and beautiful and wonderful and incredible facilities, the dynamic nature of the racing keeps that track engaging. And I think what we're finding in time trials as this program is finding some more maturity is that the dynamic element is the track. And so having a different track year after year, whether that track be a couple hours from Pittsburgh or somewhere in Central Texas, those two being the next two feels really great if we can pull that off.
Yeah.
And then maybe we're looking at, we know we have a strong program in DC. Maybe we're looking at Summit Point. We know there's a strong program in the Southeast. Maybe we're looking at a track in Alabama or a track in Florida or, but John Hunter is at the helm of that program. And he's working really hard on some West Coast opportunities as well. Kind of a 3 or 4 event series out there so that we're getting that side of the country as well. But I think I'm really excited about the idea of a little bit more of a traveling roadshow approach. We had 7 great years at NCM, and that built a lot of foundation for us. And we thought we would get a pit race for at least 3 and maybe 5.
Right.
And I really, really wish that we'd gotten the chance to do more. But maybe the blessing in disguise in this is kind of kicking off this touring the country mentality of the program. How many people are going to drive to pit race from Texas for an unknown track, unknown quantity?
Right.
Versus how many people will come to a track in Texas and defend their home turf?
Right.
And then once you've done that and had that experience, and now we're going to a great track somewhere else, and the event, the format, how it works.
Right.
I think we can build some really strong momentum for the program.
Yeah. One last idea on Targa, by the way, is you talked to it about an event for soccer families, soccer mom families. I like to call it the gateway drug to the one lap, because it does kind of give you that taste of what a one lap would be. And if you ever have dreams of doing that event, this is a great way to get yourself, practice for it almost, because it's more than just being.
Good.
I would say one lap is more than just being a good driver. There's all the logistics that goes into it that there's no way to practice that right now. And it's really cool to have Targa maybe as an option for people who want to do that, or even one lappers to come and do it because they could do a little practicing. So anyway,
I was very fortunate to be able to do one lap in 23.
Yeah.
And as part of the Club Spec Mustang thing, and that event is one of one.
Yeah.
Like I can't say enough good things about it. But it's also the national championship of that type of motorsports. It is the pinnacle. And you're right. The ability to have some practice to be able to try, have a more laid back format of it, have some more practice opportunities. That I think that's a value to the community.
Yes.
But I don't ever want anyone to think we're trying to do one lap. One lap is the solo nationals or runoffs or whatever of that ilk. And this is the regional program.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. We got 2 more programs to talk about.
All right.
So
I count 3.
Oh, 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, it's solo.
We haven't done RallyCross.
RallyCross. And the third?
Track night.
Oh, track night. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. I had not forgotten about it, but Which is
You gotta keep you on your toes.
Is track night between Rallycross and solo in participation?
I think Rallycross and time trials are really close right now. I'm not 100% sure which one's which, but track night is the second largest single entity within the program. So Rallycross.
So let's go to Rallycross.
We just finished Rallycross Nationals. And by all accounts, it was a whole lot of fun until Sunday when it rained. And I think it was still a lot of fun, but I'm not going to put those words in anyone's mouth.
Yeah.
Tying back to the hill climb conversation, one of the most exciting things that's happening in Rallycross right now is that we have people in Eastern Kentucky that are buying land and building things specifically for rally.
Nice.
The folks at Backroads of Appalachia have partnered with several of the known entities in the performance rally world. They bought this nearly 250-acre piece of land. Right now, you have to ford a creek to get to it, which I'm told the Rallycrossers are into.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth. But Rick Myers was there on his way to Rallycross Nationals and toured it, and I think we're gonna have a divisional event there next year.
Nice.
And this is all kind of out of building these relationships around putting motorsports in places that it hasn't traditionally been, and that's again one of Rallycross's big strengths is that it can go almost anywhere. And so I think Rick and I haven't had a lot of a chance to catch up today, but it sounds like things in Holly Tree went really, really well from what I've seen. And he's currently looking at 26 Rallycross Nationals locations. And I don't think Rallycross Nationals will necessarily be at that location in Kentucky, but I do think that there's a real opportunity to grow the sport there in the central Kentucky region, which does not have a Rallycross program at the moment. So
that's cool.
Cool stuff happening there for sure.
Awesome. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the SCCA. I'm Brian Bielanski. Big thanks to Heyward for being on the show. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about hill climb and road rally, that was an episode we dropped a couple of weeks ago. And then if you want to hear more about track night and solo, that's an episode that we're going to drop in a week or two. That's going to do it for this one, though. I'm Brian Bielanski. This is Inside the SCCA. If you liked what you saw, subscribe. Hit that like button. We really appreciate that so you can get all of the programming here on the Racing Network. That's going to do it for tonight. You guys have a great week. Have fun. Stay safe. And go play with cars.